United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke on the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza in his opening remarks at the 21st Doha Forum currently underway in Qatar.
I said that we are facing a severe risk of collapse of the humanitarian system. The situation is fast deteriorating into a catastrophe with potentially irreversible implications for Palestinians as a whole and for peace and security in the region.
Remember, this comes after US vetoed Security Council resolution backing a ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has welcomed Washington's move, but the United Nations chief has now said that even though the United Nations Security Council failed to pass the resolution this week, he will not give up his appeals for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. At the forum, Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammad Shtayyeh said that the United States should also be held responsible for Israeli attacks on Gaza and the loss of Palestinian lives. The Prime Minister also spoke to WION on the sidelines of the conference about Palestine's main concerns in the war and the possibility of a two-state solution.
Well, by all means, our main concern, the thing that we talked to Washington about is fully focused on, first, end the atrocities in the war, and the second important issue is that even though we are concerned of the day after, but our focus is on today, and today means stop the war. When it comes to the day after, United States has been talking about two-state solution. What we want is not another 30 years of negotiations on two-state solution. We want a mechanism of implementation for Israel to end its occupation that has occurred on the Palestinian territory since 1967.
Qatar's Prime Minister told the gathering in Doha that an entire generation in West Asia is at risk of becoming radicalized because of the war in Gaza. He added that he will continue to pressure Israel and Hamas for a truce despite narrowing chances.
Seeing these images right now that's coming out of Gaza every day is not just affecting those forces which are in Lebanon, Yemen, or in Iraq, but it also affects an entire generation that might be radicalized because of these images, and seeing the international community not responding responsibly to it.
WION correspondent Anas Malik also spoke to Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi on the sidelines of the Doha Forum.
You were very recently in DC, and we heard you speak over here as well. Do you think that there is a real negotiated way out of the issue and the aggression that the Israeli side is waging onto your immediate neighbor?
Well, I mean, the aggression has to stop. That has been the focus of our efforts. As you recall, we also had the Arab-Muslim Summit, of which a contact group has been formed to rally support for an immediate end to this aggression, whose only outcome is the killing of Palestinians, destruction of their livelihoods. So that is our priority at this point. Stop this aggression, stop the catastrophe it is producing.
Your country has been at the forefront of leading the international consensus. What is the immediate worry that Jordan sees because of the ongoing aggression that might be there in time to come?
Well, the images that we're seeing are the same images that the whole world is seeing, which is an Israeli aggression that is killing people, children, women. Over 17,000 Palestinians have been killed, the majority of whom are women and children. Over 7,000 children have been killed. Many more are still buried in the rubble. So what we're seeing is a brutal aggression that is in violation of every tenet of international law, that is in violation of international humanitarian law, and that must stop, and failure to stop it is simply pushing the region deeper into the abyss of conflict and war.
Well, our correspondent Anas Malik is now joining us live from Doha. Anas Malik, good to see you. You have spoken to several leaders in the Arab world. What are they saying in unison about the Israel-Hamas war?
Well, Eric, it's been a day of diplomacy, dialogue and diversity as what the Doha Forum's tagline is, and rightly so. It's been a busy day here in Doha, where world leaders have been speaking their hearts and minds out on different set of issues, but the conversation has been dominated by the conflict in the Middle East, the Israel-Hamas conflict that has dominated this Doha Forum and day one of the Doha Forum. We heard from the United Nations Secretary General in the beginning, where he said that he rather argued that the role of the United Nations Security Council to stop this the Israeli bombing has been regrettable, and then he vowed that he will not stop and he will continue to do his job. Then we saw the Qatari foreign minister and prime minister making some reiterations on their part with regards to the two-state solution. The Jordanian and Palestinian foreign ministers and prime minister making a point calling for sanctions against the United States. Then going forward, we spoke to the Palestinian prime minister. You heard that a short while back. He again emphasized on the fact that there has to be a negotiated solution to the conflict. The Russian foreign minister very interestingly spoke as well. He joined in virtually, Sergei Lavrov, and he also emphasized on the point with regards to a negotiated settlement and with regards to putting a halt to the bombardment that's ongoing. That's a first if you look at it in the broader context. And towards the end of the day, very interestingly, and as the tagline says or talks about diversity, Senator Lindsey Graham from the US, he went on and said that he did not agree with the idea of a humanitarian pause or a ceasefire, and that it should continue until the elimination of Hamas. So lots of divergences there, broadly speaking, but and lots of anxiety as well in this diplomatic gathering or a semi-diplomatic gathering, where people and movers and shakers continue to exchange their thoughts and ideas on different set of happenings across the globe. Eric?
That is our correspondent, Anas Malik, live in Doha. Thank you, Anas. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.